All right, hey guys, this is something new. I usually do this with my phone propped up, but I've got my camera set up on my computer. I've got my headset, my mic. I've been playing around with settings, trying to make sure that I've got everything set up properly. So eventually, I'm going to learn to go live. But until I feel more comfortable, I think maybe a little chat session is what I'll do. And then when I start feeling more comfortable, maybe I'll go live and I can have live chats with everybody. Um, I'm really lives are just really scary for me, so that's why I don't do them. So like I said, this is a practice chat to see how it goes. I'm basically going to tell you about the last several days and oh my goodness, how busy we've been. Actually, the month of October has been incredibly busy. I work at the, what is it, the Horror Tuscaloosa Haunted House here in the city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My cousin, he's the director, and he asked me to help out about 3 years ago, and I have worked every season since then. So Octobers are really busy for me and my family. My daughter-in-law Andrea, she also works there. I think my son would work there too if he could, but it's just it's too much. He has a lot of responsibilities. Not that Andrea doesn't; she also has a lot of responsibilities, but we have to have somebody home in the evenings to put the chickens away, and my grandson Vinny. He needs to get his homework done and, fed and ready for school the next morning and things like that. So my son, he's the one that takes care of that, which is awesome. He is a huge help so that I can go and do these things. But as I said, October is a really busy month for me, and this past week has just been crazy. My daughter, she is moving back from Hawaii after the fires in Maui. A lot of the uh, seasonal, I can't say that, a lot of the vacation, the tourism in Maui dried up, and that has also affected Lanai. And so she had made plans that kind of fell through. So she is coming home back to um, our area. And one of the big things that she has to do is send her animals home. Over here, oops, wrong side. Nope. There we go. Over here, that's Tank. And then in the carrier over there on the bottom is Fiki, but you can't see him. Up there in the top one, I actually have one of my birds, but that's another story. Oh my goodness, it was pretty exciting today. But I'm going to go back a week. What's today? Is today Wednesday? So yeah, it's been about 7 days. Um, my daughter made arrangements with the shipping company that specializes in moving animals from the islands of Hawaii, and they ship them back to the States. Well, unfortunately, um, goodness, they could only fly them to Austin, Texas. So that was the closest to Alabama that she could get them shipped. So I told her that I would go get them. And normally this wouldn't be a problem because I usually have the truck, but as you know, my truck is still in the shop. I'm waiting. Hopefully, by the time I put this video up, I'll have my truck back. When I called them the other day, they said they had it up on the lifts and they were getting it fixed. So I had hoped that I would have heard from them today, but it didn't. So hopefully tomorrow. But anyway, different story. I had to drive my daughter's Honda to Austin, which is fine. That's what the animals are used to. They've been riding around that car for years. But I've made 2 trips in it. I went to Oklahoma in it. I've gone to Florida in it, and it's a good running little car, but it's got 245,000 miles on it. And I mean, I've got a few things. Of course, there goes my phone. I got a few things fixed on it. The air conditioner went out. Um, it was the fan system that went out, and I got that replaced. Made sure the tires are stayed up. It's got an oil leak in it. When I checked the oil the other day before I left, it was over a quart low, so I ended up putting 2 quarts in it, and it drove fine. The car got me all the way to Austin, Texas, and back. Um, I know I sat in my car before I left Thursday morning and prayed, God, put your hand on this car, get me to Austin, and get me home safely with all the animals. And, you know, God did just that. He got me all the way to Austin and he got me all the way home. And we had hardly any bumps, or anything. But I want to tell you about my drive. The drive going there was fine, but it's an 11-hour drive. It's from where I live at to Austin, Texas. It's 11 hours. So, like I said, most of it was highway, but once I got into Texas, around I think it's Tyler, it took me off the highway and put me on back roads all the way to Austin. And it was a very interesting drive because the highways in Texas are not like the highways in Alabama, they're not like the highways in Florida or even Georgia and South Carolina, Tennessee. The To me, the roads in Oklahoma and now Texas, the way they have them set up, they're just a little odd, but they work. So I got off the roads. We're running down 4 lanes. No, it was 2 lanes, and then you had your passing lane every once in a while. And I ran through a lot of little towns. And once it rained. Oh my goodness, it wasn't a really hard rain, but it was a pretty nice rain. I gotta see what's going on my phone. Oh, my daughter just did a baby picture dump. It never fails when I'm right in the middle of doing something. I'll look at those in a few minutes after this. But anyway, I ran through some rain. It started to get dark. I really don't like running through the rain and the dark. I have stigmatism, so it makes driving at night a little difficult in the rain. But I did pretty good. Once I got I probably was about an hour at Austin. It pretty much quit. Just a little drizzle now and then. And of course, it was full dark. Now, I have to be at the Austin airport the animals were supposed to be in at 10:55 p.m. and I needed to be in the parking lot and ready to receive Tank and Fiki at like I said at 10:55 p.m. and they closed at midnight, so I had that hour window. But I was making really good time. The car was running great, and then it started to get muggy, so I turned on the air conditioner. I had been running it most of the day, but not like super cold. It was pretty cool until I got to Texas, and then that evening it got muggy. So I turned on the AC, and the car didn't cool down. So I think I lost the compressor on on the little car, which is fine. If that's all that happened, that's great. It was a little warm. I rolled the windows down. It also has a moon roof, so I cracked it open, and it kept the car pretty cool. One of the cool things that I saw as I was coming into Austin, um, it was so funny because in the distance, as I was approaching this huge building that they were building, I saw the cranes. Now, I have seen cranes like that in ports. I grew up in Jacksonville. Jacksonville port has those huge cranes. I've been to the Miami port. Miami has those huge cranes where they're loading and unloading, the big tanker, those huge boats. I can't even tell. I don't even remember what they're called, but the trailers, those boats that have all the trailers on them, they use those huge cranes to load and unload. Well, I could see these huge cranes in the distance, and everything is lit up, and I'm like, there's no port here. I'm in the middle of Texas. That's impossible. And then as I got a little closer, I could see that it was this huge building. And so as I'm passing it, they've literally built like a whole community around this huge buildings. And turned out it's Samsung. Samsung, I guess, has, to me, it appears hundreds and hundreds of acres that they're building this huge building on. And I guess I really should do the research to see what's going on, but I'm really not that interested in it. I just thought it was incredibly huge area that they're putting this big building on. I actually thought it might be something that Tesla was building because I'm pretty sure they're also building in that same area, but I was not aware that Samsung was building anything there. But as I got past there, I think it was about an hour and a half away from the airport. And I got all the way in, and unfortunately, I passed a bunch of shops and restaurants and everything. And but I kept on going because I wanted to get to where I needed to be at. That is one of the things that happens when I'm driving is I always I always want to get from A to B, and there's not a whole lot of stopping in between, and it's just a bad habit that I have. And I've tried to break it, but in this instance, I had to be at a certain place at a certain time, so I had to make sure that I got from A to B, and I did. And I also had to stop and get gas. But once I got to the airport and I knew where I was going, then I started looking for some place to eat and some place to fill up my gas tank. And it was funny because drove around a little bit, but I didn't want to go too far from where I was. And I ended up in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven, filled up my gas tank, and there was a Waffle House right next to it. So I went over there and sat down and had a burger and hash browns and talked to my daughter on the phone and to check in because there's this app that she was using with a company that shipped the animals. I am so sorry. I'm still really tired. But anyway, we use this app, and I was actually waiting for a message saying that they had arrived, but we hadn't gotten anything yet. But I finished up my meal, and I went ahead and headed towards the airport because it was almost 11 o'clock. Parked away from the office and sat there waiting for a text message or some confirmation that they were there. So 11 o'clock comes and goes, and I look up the flight to see if it had landed, and it had actually landed 30 minutes prior. So I was debating as to whether I should just go to the office, see what's going on, I, you know, because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to load up the animals. I'm ready to go. And then my daughter texted me, and she's like, "Did you find this? Did you find the place all right?" And of course I did. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going into the office now." So I get in there, and of course the dog and the cat were there. They're in their kennels, and the guy brings Tank out to me, and I cut him out of his kennel. We get his harness on him. I take him out to try to walk him, and he runs and jumps straight into the Honda because that was my daughter's car and she drove it, and he was always running around. His spot was the back seat. So he got in the car, and I went back to go get Fiki, and we got Fiki out. Well, I didn't take Fiki out of the kennel. I actually left the cat in the kennel probably about 2 hours into the drive back because he didn't look really good. He was scared. They'd just gotten off of the airplane, and they were in this warehouse. So I got Fiki in the car. I put him in the back seat. Tank's in the back seat. Now I have to go back up, and I have to get this huge kennel that Tank was in. So I drag it all the way out of the office after I sign paperwork, and I know I got to get it into the Honda, but I have to break it down. So I stood in their parking lot, and I'm taking the kennel apart, and I get everything off of it, get all the stuff clipped off of it. I flipped the top into the bottom so that I could put it in the trunk. And now, as I'm standing there with this huge kennel, and you can see over there in the corner, it's a pretty big kennel. I mean, you can just see the corner of it, but it's a pretty big kennel. And I'm trying to pick it up and put it in the trunk of my Honda. And the Honda has a pretty decent trunk, but I cannot get this in the trunk. So I'm like, oh no, this is not good. Now I wish I had driven the truck. But again, that wasn't possible. It was in the shop. So I open the back door and I'm looking at the back seat and I'm looking at this kennel and I'm looking at the back seat and I think I can get it in there. So I take the kennel that Rafiki's in and put it outside. And I take the big kennel, the big dog kennel, and I shove it in the back seat and it fits barely. So I'm like, yay, I got that done. Well, now what am I going to do with a cat in the carrier? So, I mean, it's a huge kennel, so I take the dog kennel and I pull it about halfway out. I put Fiki inside the dog kennel and then I shove it all back in. Of course, that was a struggle too. That took me a few minutes to do. So now I've got Tank and I go around and I get him out of the car so I can put him in the front seat because he's only got this little bitty spot between the door and the kennel and he didn't move. So I get him out of the car and I try to get him up in the front seat. And now he decides he has to go. So I take him for a walk. We're out for about 15 minutes walking and finally get back into the car. I get, the windows are down. I'm trying to, get the air circulating because Austin is muggy. Surprisingly, it was pretty muggy that night, especially after the rain. But I think it was probably about midnight before I actually got in the car and started my way through Austin back to the highway so that I could get home. Again, I got the windows partially open, probably only this, not a lot. But it's I've got good circulation in the car, so we're doing fine. And got out of Austin, got on the highway. I had wanted to stop at Buc-ee's, but I had already filled up my tank, and there was apparently a Buc-ee's in Austin, and yeah, I wanted to, but I have another 11 almost. It ended up being 12-hour drive home, and so if I left at midnight, it's going to be noon before I get home. So I really wasn't. That's if I was able to drive all night without having to stop and take a nap. And so I got home about noon. So I actually did it. I was able to drive all the way through, all the way back to the house, and I was safe. It's amazing that I got home safe because I kept falling asleep. Um, about 2 hours back, Rafiki started crying in the kennel, so I found a rest area, stopped, took Tank for a walk. Then I pulled out some food because I realized they never cut these animals out of their kennels. They didn't get walks. There was water in their kennels, but I didn't see any food. So I pulled out the food that I had and I fed Tank and gave him water. And he was drinking and drinking and drinking. He was really thirsty. And so I got him situated back in the car, and then I crawled in the back seat and pulled out. Thankfully, I had my knife with me, and I pulled out that knife and I cut the ties off of it because they had the door actually tied shut. And so I got Fiki out, and he still had water in his kennel, but I didn't feed him at that time. I actually waited for a little while, and so I went ahead and let Fiki out and to roam around in the car, and he was very happy. In fact, once we got started back out down the road, he kind of stayed in the back seat for a little while, but as we got further down the road, he ended up curling up on my shoulder as I was driving, and he made it a little difficult, but I think he was just happy to have to be comforted. So I'm petting him and driving with one hand, and I did that for a long time. And then about 5:30, I started getting really tired, so I ended up stopping in this one town, and I couldn't even tell you what it was, but it was a college town. And I stopped in an abandoned gas station, and I got out. The sun was starting to come out. I fed Fiki. I let Tank back out again and took him for a walk. I went ahead and gave him some more food, more water, and I ended up, after I got them all back in the car, I found a gas station, got filled up, and then headed on down the road. I thought I would be able to drive better with the sun coming up, and actually it was a little bit easier. But I mean, I was going, I went 26, I went longer without any sleep, but the drive itself was 26 hours from start until I got home. I think that's what I figured it was because I left. What did I left at between 9:30 and 9:45, and I got home. It was sometime afternoon. Yeah, it was about 26 hours is what I figured that I drove. But I made it home and I got the animals situated. Everybody's doing really good. Tank and Rudy are butting heads, but they've settled down quite a bit. Now we have four cats in the house. Now Shelly and Fiki, they were good, fast friends before the other two got here, but they all eat in the kitchen. We have to separate the dogs when they eat because um, Rudy gets Rudy gets a little aggravated if Tank gets too close to him when he's eating. So we've had to make quite a bit of adjustments, and so everybody's doing fine. But oh my goodness, the house is full, and I also have one of my four little chickens. Dot, she's in that kennel over there in the corner. Um, she had a run in with a hawk today. I had to go help family with some family business, and I was gone all morning. But while I was gone, my son's texting me, and he's like, "I think we had an incident." And come to find out, he had walked downstairs after he heard the commotion and interrupted a hawk eating one of my chickens. Amazingly, she's still alive, but we figured I'll kind of do a little demonstration. We think he ate like part of he literally was feeding off her wing, and we think she lost what would be like her last three fingers on her wing. There wasn't really any blood that we saw, so I think it's more superficial. I think he was just pulling her feathers out. But my son interrupted it. He said it was a huge hawk. We believe it was a red-tailed hawk, but he said it was the biggest predator bird he'd ever seen. He was like he thought it was an eagle, but he's like, no, 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 it wasn't big enough to be an eagle, and the colors were all wrong. But he chased it off, and he actually found a pile of feathers and thought it was a chicken, but come to find out it was just feathers. So he got out there with the dogs, believe it or not, and they scared Dot out of the bushes, and he was able to catch her and check her. And then when I came home, we both went back outside and checked on her, and decided she was cowering in the bushes. So we decided that we would bring her inside, and I've got food and gave her some treats. She's got plenty of water, and she's going to spend the night in the kennel. And if she's feeling okay, tomorrow we'll go ahead and let her back out in the yard. But now I'm going to be on high alert because I had a hawk try to eat one of my birds. So but that's what happens when you have chickens. And then my uncle told me that when he was in the field today, he saw four coyotes out there, and so my reds have been getting out of the fence. I can't. We know how they're getting out, and they keep going under the fence, and we keep blocking it, but then they find other spots. And we went back out there and reset all the fencing about 3 days ago, and it still has not deterred them. So I got to find some other way to keep them in. We actually thought one of the roosters was chasing them out because we had two roosters and only six hens. So we took out a rooster, and that still has not helped. They are still getting out. So right now I have six hens, one rooster in the red coop, and then I have all my little in the ebon coop. We have all of our little ebon stars running around. Um, yeah, we almost lost one today, but like I said, she's doing pretty good. So I'm looking at this thing, and it is 25 minutes, and it is amazing how, well, I guess how long I can talk. I'm, so I guess I'm proving myself wrong because I keep telling myself that I don't have anything interesting to say. But if I can sit here and talk to myself for 25 minutes in front of a camera and tell you what's going on with my day, I bet you I could do it on a live video. But like I said, I'm working on it. I have my camera set up, and I'm working on making sure that my volume is good and the picture's good. And I think I'm almost there. And now I just have to work on getting brave enough to actually hit that go live button. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call this the end of this video. I appreciate everyone who watches my videos. I appreciate everyone who's interested in my crazy life. Um, like I said, it's been a busy week. I worked the haunt all weekend. Last night was the last night for Halloween, and then I had to get up early this morning and go help family. So I am exhausted. What time? It's 8:15, and I'm ready to put my pajamas on and go to bed. And that's probably exactly what I'm going to do after I look at the pictures of my grandson that my daughter just posted. So again, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Apparently, I could just keep on going if I don't. Probably has a lot to do with the fact that I'm just exhausted. But again, thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on my next video.